Actually, we do get to pick our names, and we do it all of the time. Somebody by the name of Michael, for example, might choose to go by Mike or Mikey, or may choose to go by his middle name. Women have it harder because historically, as we are married, we're expected to take on the last name of our husbands. And should we choose to divorce, or if he dies and we need to remarry, we have to get our names changed legally. For a man, it doesn't matter if he chooses to divorce or if he remarries, he doesn't have to go through the headache of changing his name and identity. Last year at this time, after my then husband and I decided to divorce, and I wasn't quite sure who I was or what my identity ought to be, we had filed the paperwork before I had decided on what my name was going to be. I didn't want to go by his last name anymore. I didn't want to return to my maiden name because I was reinventing myself. I wanted a new last name. So I chose one, but the county said I could not have it legally changed until September of this year. I got my job just last month before that year was up. And so when I applied for jobs, I had both my new last name and my legal last name, which is still, unfortunately, the last name of my ex-husband, on my resume. When I was interviewed, I let them know. When I was hired, I let them know this is the situation, this is the name I'm going to go by in just a few months, but this is my legal last name. I was not pulling the wool over anyone's eyes. I did need to let them know because of a couple of other things. Earlier this year, in January, I was hired to be a teacher at an elementary school. And I asked the principal then, can I go by this new last name? Even though legally I'm known by this one, can the kids call me this one? And she said, but of course. So I introduced myself to the kids by my new last name, my chosen last name, because that's not legal yet. And there was no problem. I did feel like I needed to make this known to my employers, because as they were doing a background check on me and they were checking my social media, they would see that on other social media platforms, I had this chosen last name. I was being transparent as the day is long. So if I was fired because I chose to go by a different last name and was transparent about it, that doesn't make any sense. While we're on this topic, and especially now that I am no longer employed in a very red state, I feel it's important to say that we do need to allow our LGBTQ neighbors and family members and friends to choose their own names. They get to decide. Just as you get to choose to go by Mike, a man by the name of William can choose to go by Gina. We don't get to choose for them. They get to choose for themselves. Fortunately, there are ways for members of this community and people like myself to change our names legally. And it is something I look forward to doing. And once I do change my name, I am never changing it again, regardless of whether I remarry, because this is who I want to be.